You are listening to Accents, a radio show for literature, art, and culture. I'm your host, Katerina Stoikova, and my guests today are Christopher McCurry and his students from the Gauntlet Poetry Challenge. And let's talk with Chris first. Chris, welcome to the show, and tell us, how did the Gauntlet came about?
Hey, Katerina, thanks for having me on the show. I'm so excited to get to hang out with you again. The Gauntlet started, I'm bad at years, 4 or 5 years ago, when the idea was that working writers, people who have full-time jobs, families, people to care for, don't really have a great option for studying poetry long-term and in a serious way, or the flexibility. So I was looking at what was offered to poets, I guess, in and around town, and there were weekly workshops and there were classes that you could take or that started to become available at like UK through the MFA, and there were low residency MFA programs where you could leave, where you could work on your own, but then you had to go and study for a week or so. And I was like, well, what do I really need as a teacher and a parent to keep working on poetry? And so with the help of one of my close friends, Robin Rahia, we kind of brainstormed what that would look like for working writers. And we decided that the Gauntlet would be a challenge to write, because working writers often have many excuses not to write between their jobs and their family. And then it would also be some studying, so reading books of poetry and reading craft essays. And it would also be a community, so a group of people that are also working and trying to explore their poetry. And we would meet one Saturday a month, because that seemed reasonable for working writers for the entire year, and see what could happen in a year's worth of writing, reading, and community. And so we, Robin and I, organized the first year and invited people to participate as guinea pigs to see how it went, and it went really well. And then from there we refined, and we're still refining all these years later. But the mission remains the same: to provide an opportunity for people who want a year-long commitment, want to write a lot of poems, and want to get to know people in an intimate way. So that's how the Gauntlet came about. So
write many poems. How many?
100. That's the goal.
Yeah. How did you come up with a number? Why not 105? Why not 30?
100 seems pretty round. It's just like, yeah, it's substantial. It's a poem every 3 days, roughly, once you break it down throughout the year. And then I also thought, with Lexington Poetry Month and with National Poetry Month, like, some poets might already have 60 in 2 months. So it has to be more than that. And then, but not so much that I myself didn't think I could do it. So I had to set a goal that wasn't writing every day for a year, because I don't know if that would be actually productive to long-term writing. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the reasoning. 100 sounds nice. I wrote 100 poems this year. 100.
Already? Or you're speaking?
Oh no, I don't think so. I'm not. No.
How many have you written this year?
This year, I lose track pretty quickly. So I believe I'm in the 80s or 90s. I haven't been good at accounting for my poems, which is sad, because I know everyone in this room has accounted for their poems, because I ask them every month. So, but I'm getting close. I know that I'm close. I just have to go back and actually count them all up.
I have every confidence that you will complete 100 poems. So let's see. Here is a question. The flip side of the question I'm going to ask our 5 contestants, Gauntlet contestants, afterwards. But here is, what has teaching the Gauntlet taught you about writing, about your creativity?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, the best thing about it is every year I get to meet 10 new poets who have different styles of writing, different experiences, come from different places, do different work than I do, have different roles in their life than I do. So I'm learning through reading their poems about them as a person, but also other parts of living in this world. So that's, I think, been a huge help. Also, we read several of the same books every year throughout the Gauntlet. So seeing fresh perspectives, even books that I've read like dozens of times at this point, always helps me like pay attention to how I've grown as a writer and how what I still haven't seen when people point it out. So one of the cool parts along with the book reading is that Gauntlet members also select books that they really enjoy and introduce to me new writers that I haven't read. And there's just so many that I haven't read. So that helps. And then teaching in general, like if you're going to teach someone something, you have to make an argument in your head for its validity. So you have to know that it's true, I feel like, and right. And so if I'm about to open my mouth to speak, I really have to like test my own convictions if I'm going to pass it along to a group of people. So I always feel like that strengthens my writing. So.
Would you kindly read several of your poems?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm pulled up ones that I wrote during Lexington Poetry Month this year, but that count towards my 100. So I'll read 3 if that's okay. All right, so this one's called Always Alone 2. That's how she describes my love life to me. As if I'm not aware, I sleep on the edge of a king-size bed I bought when her mom left, near the nightstand, stack of books, a lamp made out of an old headlight from a truck. She knows something of solitude, its mantle, a bit of protection, a bit of warmth. In the morning, she plays switch on the couch while I sleep. 3 times a day, I bore her by cooking our meals. She'll sit in her room and read or throw a party for all her stuffed animal friends. There's Dottie, Larry, Gilbert, Oak Brook, Cookie Dough, Pellet, Ava, Leonin, Kelly, 2 foxes, both named Fly, Sparkle, Pegasus, and Buckwheat. One afternoon, we host an elaborate dinner with all of her favorite foods. She expects me to speak for each of them in different, silly voices. They bicker and bark and hiss and ask for more lemonade and raw meat. At night, after we read and cuddle and say our words, when I get in bed, I think of everything that I could have said that would have made her laugh. Want me to just keep rolling? Okay. This is love number 4. Notice me, working quietly to serve you. Fall for silence. Not much more than a pile of dirty dishes, an unswept floor. Hold me like I'm warm from the dryer, inside out and needing my wrinkles rubbed smooth. It's hard to love a chore, but do it every day and your hands become practiced. And then this is Parallel Universe. She says my name. She says my name to get my attention. She says my name at the end of a sentence to punctuate her argument. She says my name. I'm a puppy. I wag my tail. She says my name in Spanish. She says my name, no, yells it when it's time to come home at dark. She says the fake name I gave her. She says my name, but I hate when she says it. She says my name on repeat. She says a shortened version of my name. She says my name sounds pretty white. She says my name and wants to know if I have time to take a brief survey. She says my name in a whisper. She says my name. She says, oh, she doesn't say my name. She doesn't know my name. She says my name when my order is ready. She says my name like a simple question that is easy to answer. She says my scientific name. She says the only nickname that ever stuck. She says my name because I have no power here. She says my name so it's not forgotten. She shouts my name in the street. She says my name telepathically. Hot feet, a hand in my leg hair, pain in my lower back. She says her name because she's tired of saying mine. I had to do a brief edit because there was not a radio-friendly situation about to happen, so that's why I got a little confusing there in the middle. But I like the rest of it. Kind of came together. I forgot about that one. I think.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. And these were great. It's hard to love a chore. Wow. Wow. I'm writing that down, and I think I'm going to use it somewhere. And of course, I'll give you full credit for that. Wow.
Yeah, that's. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. How can new people sign up for the Gauntlet? As far as I know, it's within the signing period.
Yeah, so the deadline is, I believe, December 1st, November 15th. It's going to be November 15th, but maybe extended to December 1st, I think. And you can go to two places online. The easiest, quickest way is Carnegie Center's website here in Lexington. The Carnegie Center for Literacy and Learning. I'm just trying to see what their actual URL is. Yeah, carnegiecenterlex.org. And then if you click on their opportunities button or their menu button, it should be under their writing classes. And then you can just sign up there, and there's a brief application where you send in 5 poems, answer some questions, and then you find out pretty quickly after the deadline whether or not. And the other option is to go to workhorsewriters.com, and there's a link, but the link just takes you straight to the Carnegie Center so that you can sign up and enroll if you'd like to.
And tell us with a few words, what is Workhorse? Because I think people need to know.
Workhorse is a publishing company and also publishing services company. So it's designed to, or it was created to create opportunities for working writers or any writer to really publish in a low barrier format, like low entry format. So we run Lexington Poetry Month every June, which is an opportunity to write and publish your poems online, but then also get published in the anthology. We offer free feedback for poets who want to submit a poem that they're looking for some advice on. And it's where the Gauntlet originated before we passed it on to the Carnegie Center, and I just became the instructor instead of the creator. So and we also publish chat books. So in December, we'll have an open reading period for chat books of poetry. So we publish 3 a year, and there's no fee to enter, and we give the authors 50 copies of their books and $100 to, say thanks. It's not a lot, but it is what we can offer right now. So it's just like a think tank / publishing company. What doesn't exist that working writers could use, and then how can we get their work in front of other writers and readers?
Thank you very much, Chris, and good luck with all that you're doing. And now I would love to hear from poets participating in the Gauntlet. And first, I'll ask Austin Riley, could you please tell us, first of all, how many poems did you write already this year? Then what you've learned so far? What is one important thing that you're going to carry forward in your writing? And then let us hear a few of your poems.
Okay, I believe I'm in the 80s right now. So I am hoping to meet the 100 mark by the end of the year. I think the biggest takeaway for me is it's offered me a chance to recommit to my writing. I think because I'm a full-time teacher and a mom and a wife and a friend, and I find reasons to not spend time on things that feed my spirit. This has given me a chance to really enjoy being back into reading poetry and writing poetry and being in a community with people that are wonderful poets and enjoy talking about poetry, and it's just kind of reconfirmed my love of it. And I think also I've gotten some really useful feedback on work from Chris and from my fellow Gauntlet members that's useful when I'm going back to revise things and think about submitting them for publication. So that's been really helpful. And we've read a lot of great work too, so that's always helping you grow as a writer. My first one is called Girl Lounging in Chair. I admire your most recent photograph, sprawling lanky limbs across an outdoor patio chair in a borrowed dress, skin dewy, hair like slow waves of wheat, eyes gazing off toward whatever it is 13-year-old minds travel to. I see the 3-year-old screaming as I pin you on the preschool lawn to keep you from running into the parking lot, wrangle you into the van, slide the door shut, cry and breathe. I see just one little head raised, refusing to nap on your when there are adults to talk to nearby. They mispronounce your name for weeks, and you believe them. I see your 8-year-old shadow by my midnight bed. The silver unicorn blood in the forest near Hogwarts is stealing your sleep. I hear your high voice from the back seat at 6:45 a.m. on our way to school, asking about friendship, sexuality, racism, history, my traitorous real boobs and my new boob imposters. You ask unrelentingly about Santa and are quick to anger when we answer. The whole holiday house of cards comes down in 24 hours. I silently forgive you hot dog vomit in my slippers, ditching me in frozen foods, hours of sleep lost, stretched skin, sore nipples, crippling postpartum tears, small untruths about borrowed earrings and unbrushed teeth. This one is called Low Profile. 2 dark pink arcs, joyless smiles, like Botox mouths. Maybe they spell out new normal, that farcical phrase in Morse code. Tiny hands no longer need these skin pockets for liquid plastic. Foreign worlds to my fingertips, tracing the muddled boundaries between ridges and ditches, blurred by raised scars and deep pockmarks. Cool to the touch, even under a blanket, no longer warmed by flowing blood, no longer gods, man-made.
Thank you so much, Austin. These are wonderful, and I really appreciate you. Next, I would like to hear from Dawn. Dawn, I'm sorry, I don't know your last name. Maybe you can tell us your last name and then how many poems you wrote?
Yes.
What?
Yes, my last name is Garvin. It's LaDawn Garvin. So far, I believe I've written 70. I have a couple more that I've got in the works. So I just need to get those finished and get my 30 before the end of this year. The reason why I got into the Gauntlet, because I wanted to broaden my scope on writing different poems in different forms. I've taken some English classes at the University of Kentucky, where I've learned the different types of forms to write for poetry. So the Gauntlet was really interested in for me to get around other poets, to actually learn different forms and what other poets are doing out in the world besides what I write.
Okay.
Let's see. This is a poem that I wrote probably about 20 years ago. I didn't realize it was a poem. It was shared with me later on. It was like a thank you to a friend, and they actually gave me a copy of it. I said a prayer for you today and know God must have heard. I felt the answers in my heart, although he spoke not a word. I didn't ask for wealth or fame. I know you wouldn't mind. I asked for priceless treasures, rare, of a more lasting kind. I prayed that he would be near you at the start of each day, to grant you health and blessings fair and friends to share your way. I asked for happiness for you in all things great and small, but that you would know his loving care I prayed the most of all. Healers must understand that love does not only mean love for others, it also means love for oneself. We must be aware of our limits and know when it is necessary to nurture ourselves. Each of us has different ways of nurturing. Some people need people while others need to be alone. We must strive a balance between what we do for others and what we do for ourselves. Learning to receive as well as to give. For if you only give and never receive, we get out of balance. More than that. Beauty is more than a face with a pretty smile and sparkling eyes. It is those things within the heart that makes the beauty shine through. One's beauty can touch a person's soul without a physical touch. There is a glow of essence that can light any room from afar. People want to mistreat, use, and abuse the beauty for their own satisfaction. But one that is true and worthy can see there is more than that. More than just the outward beauty that shapes the curvous body. There is a desire to be loved and wanted for the inward beauty that is a treasure. That makes you more than that, more than just an object to be misused. Once in a while. Once in a while, a friend is found who's a friend from the very start. Once in a while, a friendship is made that really warms the heart. Once in a while, a friendship is found that to have a lifetime through. It really does happen just once in a while. It happened with me and you. And then I have one more. It's called Attitude. What are you living for today? Will you let your attitude live your life? It is your choice if you are living life or life is living you. Your attitude reflects the person you are inside. Is your attitude like a light switch that you turn off and on depending on the people around you? Do not let others determine what your attitude will be. Have a positive attitude that reflects the God in you. Be strong enough not to allow interruptions to fluctuate your attitude. Others will not want to be around you. Does your attitude stink? Or is it sweet smelling like the beautiful rose you are? Attitudes can be contagious. Is yours worth catching?
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you. These are wonderful. Now I would love to hear from Linda Freudenberger. How many poems did you write? One or two very important things that you've learned, and please read us a few poems.
Okay, well, I took the challenge and I've written 108 poems, and I think the Lex Pomo helped me a lot to do 30, but I've really enjoyed it. I just started writing poetry, I'd say 3 years ago. I went through the Author Academy at Carnegie, and then I learned more about the poetry community that was offered there. So I decided to sign up for the Gauntlet. I've really enjoyed it, reading all the books, hearing other poems, and I like being part of a poetry community. So it's been wonderful. Wonderful experience. Okay, I have 3 poems to share. The first one is called Communion. After the day we scattered your ashes in angry rough waters of Maui, a green sea turtle beckoned me away from the others in the bay. Enchanted by his mossy green shell and sassy way, I followed. He became you, engulfing me with peace, embracing me with love. We journeyed together again, a parting gift, curving your head over your shell. Checking to see if I followed, we swam in unison, me trailing by 2 feet. My mask filled with water. I popped up for air. You disappeared. You safely herd me back to the boat where the others, aware I was missing, prepared to alert Coast Guard, lined the deck with shouts of Linda pulling me back. The next one is Puffer. Gingerly placed in my hands, a membrane of that taut ochre band's ballooned, doubled its normal self. Delicate and light, spotted black dorsal fin cradled in my hands. I release you home, watching your body slowly slim back to norm as you safely escape. Okay. And the last one, this is a funny one about my grandsons. The Sheriff and the Outlaw, brothers of opposite molds. The sheriff, enforcer of rules, order, structure, OCD to the 10th degree, with a marshmallow heart. Sheriff says, Nana, stop on red, go on green. At the drive-through window, he yells, plain burger, ketchup only, not ketchup with only, not hamburger with only ketchup. The outlaw ruptured rules, beats his own drum, laughs with verve, pulling your last bit of patience along with your heartstrings. Outlaw says, Mommy says I can have 5 M&Ms when I go potty, and I only wear Toy Story pull-ups and only 3T pajamas, as he tosses 2T over his head on the floor. Opposite souls cuddled close as I read them tales of sharks and superheroes, followed by the sheriff proudly reading his primer. Next come bedtime hugs and kisses. Glimpses of that day tucked in Nana's mind, held tight till the next showdown with the sheriff and the outlaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. These are wonderful. Next, I would love to hear from Debbie Glenn. How many poems did you write? What did you learn? And please let us hear some of your work.
I believe I'm right around 80 poems at this point. And before I got into the Gauntlet, I wasn't quite sure if my writing actually fell into the poetry genre. I've loved to write for years, and so I found this to be a big challenge and a lot of validation, I would say. It's been great to get feedback from Chris and the other poets, and to be exposed to different writers and subject matter and genres of poetry has been very helpful for me. It's really opened my eyes to a lot of new things and new pieces and works that I hadn't been exposed to before. So it's been great. I've loved it. I'm going to read 3 pieces. The first one is called Dinner Didn't Turn Out So Well Tonight. Sometimes dinner doesn't turn out so well, a disappointment. Yet there are worse things, much, much worse. But others are downplaying, offering good cheer as if it were Christmas time. Hope, hope, there is so much hope. And I, quite honestly, do not accept that. Because if all it took was a sprinkle of hope and a smile, well, the world would have changed more than a while ago. We are, in my opinion, going to need a bit more than that, than what we have come together and created. So pardon me if I am not one of those "it's going to be a good year after all" types. Lessons and change? At what cost is my question. I apparently utilize a different exchange rate when counting my blessings. Sorry, not sorry, not sorry, not sorry, because I have nothing to be sorry about. Some probably do, yet don't realize they are operating from a false dichotomy. What that means, I am uncertain, but it sounds like an intelligent thing to say. Therefore, I will invoke my reasoning. The world is completely on edge, teetering, between what is dependent on your opinion. Mine is that dinner didn't turn out so well tonight, yet there are worse things. And then this next one is called Stymied and Abashed. Nothing is ever exactly as it seems, which is perchance the cause of many complaints. Dissatisfaction breeds contempt, as does familiarity. Sometimes we hide from even ourselves. pretending all the while we are well and adjusted and striving. Except we are none of those. We are resentful and behind, clinging to an ideal, motioning ourselves to move ever forward, all the while politely declining, stymied and abashed. And then this last one is titled As Does Change. Last day of the month, last day of the first half of the year. Even good days are now difficult. The moderate has become what would have once been labeled as extreme. And here I am, in the middle yet outside. I am totally and utterly alone, despite the booming of the firecrackers and the uncontested silence of a voice, both of which assure me people are present, if only in certain instances. I explained I write quickly, and yes, grapes were in my chicken salad this time around. My friend said she shouldn't have to explain why her life matters, and I quite frankly agree. My other friend told me what I already knew, and strangely, I am not disappointed. Uncertainty is the grand punishment from God, or at least one of them. At times, that is how I feel, how I interpret anyway. Some people never get angry with God, and I wonder what kind of relationship that is. I also wonder why God gave me this particular set of emotions. Why not a different temperament that ordinary disturbs me? As does change, except at times it thrills me, depending. I asked multiple groups what Independence Day will be about this time around, and not surprisingly, no one seems especially patriotic as of late, except for those I don't generally associate with. I do miss baseball games and wearing my high-heeled sandals that I only wear a few times per season. The fact I was going to take some girls to New York and now I cannot, or can I, just not today. Sometimes I forget I own a particular dress. My pandemic weakness is shoes, and I have now ordered 4 pairs. But maybe my strength is I have not purchased more. I continue to work on my painting based on a photo. I will soon purchase seed beads and make an anklet. My puzzle is slowly, ever so slowly progressing, and I am bewildered at the state of the world, confused as to why I am still here in this place, despite the freedom and my ability to swim in deep water. Change only comes from more than a posted sign in one's front window. Change can come swiftly and override it all.
Thank you so much, David. These are wonderful. And now we'll hear from Eileen. Eileen Tatum, please tell us about how many poems did you write, what you learned, and read us a few of yours.
Yeah, so I'm at 95, and I find myself sort of procrastinating these last 5 poems. I'm like, I don't want it to be over. I'm the kind of person too that last little bit is like the toughest part. But yeah, I wanted to do the Gauntlet. I think the primary reason was community, to be honest, to meet people. I was living in Kentucky and moved to Florida in 2014 to do my MFA. And then I came back to Kentucky in 2018 and I work remotely. So meeting people was really challenging, and, dipping back into the poetry community was really hard. And so I found myself not writing poetry, not writing much of anything. And writing definitely keeps me connected to who I am. And so the Poetry Gauntlet, I was like, okay, that's amazing. I can meet so many other incredible poets, which I have, and I'm so thankful for Chris and for all these women. Like, it's just been wonderful to get to spend time with them every month. And then also having a goal, like 100 poems for me, makes it a lot less scary to write that first draft. Like, if I sit down in front of a blank page and it's like, write a good poem, that's not going to happen. But writing 100 poems in a year is like, oh, I can do that. I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know what's going to show up. And so it's been amazing for me in terms of new obsessions, new topics I've explored, and yeah, I'm just really thankful. I kind of want to do it again. I don't know. Just never graduate, Chris.
That's actually a-okay with me. And you wouldn't actually be the first. We've actually had 2 other repeats. So whenever you're ready.
Thanks. I appreciate that. So yeah, this poem, the first one is number 47 that showed up. And I have had sort of a weird health year. And I was also thinking a lot about a road trip that I took in 2016 through the American Southwest. So going to Grand Canyon and Mesa Verde and Arches and all these amazing national parks. And I was thinking about the ways in which those spaces have been commodified and commercialized, especially for social media. Like you sort of see people taking the same pictures in the same places over and over again. So that became this poem, Influencers in the Wild. They get out of bed like the rest of us, one claw at a time. Depuff and jade roll, down a slender glass of celery juice, and dab their bee-stung pouts, like everyone's, plump as cactus fruit. This season's palette is ripped from the American Southwest, ochre, saguaro, umber, wilderness. Angel's Landing is moon dust for the eye and lip. In the mirror, our heads tilt to form new jawlines. In Monument Valley, sophisticates spin in leather vests with fringe. At Horseshoe Bend, they peek over the rim, gilded sneakers flirting with the edge. Selfies are the Grand Canyon's #1 cause of death. At the trailhead, missing posters, laminate, "Have you seen?" eulogizes their last wearing, faces framed by 2 arms. They reach for us. If someone else paid, we'd go too. We could snap the desert in hats with wide brims, in glass bottles, under safety lids, in brown packages with easy open tape. The ascension of influence gives chase. At home, I buy, I goop, I smear my face in a layer of milk jelly made from snail trays. Beneath a stardew sheen, I can almost see her, my optimal self, for some selfish reason, withholding her optimal life/health. The second one, I've sort of continued to write influencer poems or about this the influencer as a character. And I was inspired by Harriet Lerner's work on apology. She has a new book out called Why Won't You Apologize? And so this is The Influencer Apologizes. I didn't come here to say I'm sorry. In many ways, everything I've ever done is its own kind of apology. No one is interested in the algorithm of apology. In 6 apologies you'll never believe. In the apology your doctor doesn't want you to know. Optimization looks like apologizing in the morning with your face to the sun. The foot apologizes to the grass it trots upon. When I breathe, it is as an apology, and it sounds like, "Thank you for being here," and "Grateful, so blessed." Can't you read the apology written along the skinny bend of my arm? It is printed on the tags of all my cardigans. I've already apologized for what is upsetting you and for what has yet to upset you but soon will. Before I came into this world, I was a tear in God's eye. I drifted by God's ear whispering, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." I fell off God's chin and sparkled. So yeah, little poems about narcissism. And then the last one I'm gonna read, I started going down a rabbit hole of writing poems from my grandparents' farm. And so I'm writing these plants. So this is berry, Calastris orbiculatus of trees. My love uses all the air, every gap of claimed, which loops around me in woody circles from ankle to heart. The ways I healed as I grew would be naked and smooth. The rest, rough and shaggy bark. Where you rest, I am silk, I twist. Unmanageable creature, I could never cut you off close to your base or smear your face with glyphosate. Thank you.
Eileen, could you please read the last poem again because we couldn't hear all of it? Thank you.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Calastris orbiculatus. Melter of the limbs of trees, my love, you smelt saplings where they spring up. All the sun is yours, all the air, every gap. If I were to unwind you now from the spiral you have claimed, which loops around me in woody circles from ankle to heart, the ways I healed as I grew would be naked and smooth. The rest, rough and shaggy bark. Where you rest, I am silk, I twist. Unmanageable creature, I could never cut you off close to your base or smear your face with glyphosate. Glyphosate is Roundup.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you and what you do. Good luck to everybody with the writing of the remaining of your poems. And good luck to everybody else who signs up next year for the Gauntlet.
Thank you so much for having us on the show.
Thank you.